is my GPZ900R, and today I'm going to give it its legs back. I'm talking about the front forks. Now, over the past few months I've been stripping down all the individual components to their very last nut and bolt, and slowly but surely I am now starting to rebuild it. As you can see, this frame has been completely stripped down and repainted in this beautiful gloss black. And again, with the rear swing arm completely stripped down, blasted, cleaned, painted, and now it looks brand new. I'm so happy with this, the way it's going and how it's going. I know it's a slow process, but you can't rush these things. Let's crack on with today's job and get the front forks on. Oh, I've got to rebuild them first.
Today is a great day. This package here means I can finally put all these bits back together again. Ready? Wow. Look at that. Brand spanking new. Okay. Well, I guess there's nothing left to do right now other than to put these front forks back together again. I'm actually going to have to look back at the video that I made taking them apart to actually try and remember how they went back together. Other than that, I do have the service manual that I can refer back to. So, let's crack on. With the outer casings, I've actually cleaned these up and I'm going to leave them as they are. I like the fact they've got the original 1985 stickers on them, and the paintwork and the coating on them actually looks pretty good, to be honest with you. Like I said, I've cleaned all the grub off and I'm happy with those. So I'm going to leave them as they are. Now, unfortunately, some of the inside components have gone rusty. I've put them in some Nitromorse rust remover. Now, I didn't have much success with this in the past, but if I leave these like overnight, then it should get rid of all that surface rust for me. Yeah, like I said, this stuff it's not great. It was very expensive and it wasn't very effective on some other parts that I used. But being as I've got a bit of time, I've got enough time to leave these soaked before it comes to actually putting them back together. But to you guys, that'll be just like a couple of minutes. But to me, it'll be a day or so. And I have bought genuine Kawasaki fork seals and dust seals and bushes. Here we go. Here's a pair of outer bushes. And here's the inner bushes. So the bushes are Tormax, and they're actually really good aftermarket stuff. I've been using Tormax seal kits for the brake cylinders and clutch cylinders, etc., etc. I've been using them on the FZR as well, so they're actually just as good as OEM quality in my opinion. And here we are 24 hours later. Now you can see that there is still a little bit of surface rust on there, but I'll just give it a bit of a toothbrush. That actually cleans up quite nicely. So I'm going to clean these parts up. Some of them have come out a bit better than others. These spring clips have come out absolutely perfectly. I'll clean these up, get all the rust off. Let's have a look at these bits as well. So as you can see, rusty nut. There we go, and that's got all that surface rust off. So I'm going to clean all these bits up, dry them off, and then we can start putting the forks back together. They are all nice and cleaned up. Now I actually ran a load of IPA around and through these, so not Indian Pale Ale, isopropanol alcohol, and I'm happy with how clean they are. Now I don't particularly want to take these apart any further because they're obviously set to where they need to be set, and I'm happy with that. They're clean enough. They've been soaked in oil their whole lives, so they're not rusty. So I'll stop waffling, leave them like that. I've cleaned these up best I can. A couple of them have got a bit of like mild corrosion, shall we say, on them, but they will be fine to put back in. These aluminium pieces are kind of battered. I'm not really sure why. Well, they're battered by a previous person, not me. So I'm going to try and I'm going to pop a file on them just to get rid of the burrs, but they will do for that. And then the rest of these bits are nice and clean. These spring clips are still very nice and springy, so I won't replace them. I'll use those. These parts actually started to flash rust after I cleaned them up. So I've actually left them in the old fork oil. So I'm now gonna clean these off and, well, put them back together. I'm going to get some gloves. Yes, Ashley, get some gloves. They're all clean and dried up. Now let's move that out of the way, somewhere where I'm not going to put my foot in it. I've laid everything out nicely so we can see what we're doing. Now, first things first, I'm going to pop these, I think the PTFE kind of rings on there. There we go, 1 and 2. For those of you watching in France, 1 and 2. These are the old original O-rings, and they're actually okay. They feel nice and soft, and they're not flattened. So I'm actually gonna just spruce them up with a little bit of acetone, if I can find it. Kate gave me a little pop the other day. Here we go, a little bit of acetone. Girls use this to remove nail varnish, but I actually use it for just sprucing up O-rings. I work in the vacuum industry, not hoovers, as in vacuum, thin film, deposition, sciencey stuff. And I do this with all used O-rings if I'm forced to use an O-ring again, so I know we're good. Cool. You don't need to soak them or bathe them, just give them a wipe and cleans them up, spruces them up a little bit. Okay, so next, these springs go on here. These particular springs, it doesn't matter which way round they go, they're symmetrical. Whereas if you notice with the big long springs, they do have a way, because they're more coiled at this end and less coiled at that end. Doing. Right, what's next? I don't know if you've noticed, but I've got my original video up on the screen so I can see, well, basically watch it backwards to make sure it all goes back in the same orientation. So I'm going to use this shot from my video to know what order everything went on. And if you look here on the screen from when I took it apart, I got the inner bush, the outer bush, that washer, shaft seal, that washer, clip thing, dust seal. So let's do that. Let's pop them on there. Now, these stanchions were completely manufactured for me by a company called ABE Engineering. Check them out, they're in London. They do have a seriously long lead time at the minute because they are very busy. However, the quality of these is literally next to none. I'm really happy with them. They are perfect, they're brand new. Super duper happy, and they've taken my original bushing, don't know if you can hear that, that went on the inside and re-rolled the end back to put the bushing back in. I'm not explaining that very well, but you know what I mean. The outer fork bush. I don't know why they're called inner and outer, because they're kind of both on the outside of it, aren't they? Next, that washer. So this one with the smaller inside diameter. Doing. What's next? Shaft seal. Now, which way on does that shaft seal go?
For that washer. Okay.
This is interesting, right? Looking at the video of when I took it apart, this is not a genuine original Kawasaki shaft seal. This one has a lip on it there. That one does not, but I can see enough from this image that it goes on that way with the retaining spring on the right hand side towards the bottom of the fork. So I'll pop that on. And again, just to verify from this angle of the image, you can see that this inside goes that way around. It's very hard to tell from the exploded diagram. It doesn't actually really tell you which way it goes on. But this way makes sense, to be honest. So if you're doing this, even if you don't want to put your video on YouTube, make a video. This is incredibly handy to tell me how these actually go together. And that should slide down there. And it should come out the end. Right. Oop, bang. That one goes in there. Right. Oop, these bits go on there. Like that. Just going to leave them sitting there like that for now. This is a travel control valve, and it is part of the automatic variable damping system. Posh, eh? So you replace these as assemblies, but
given the fact that this one is in very good condition, I'm going to put it back in. And it actually says in the manual, don't take this apart to service it. So I'm not going to. I have forgotten something here. So before that goes on, you actually need to put on a couple of spring washers. Now, one of these didn't actually have any washers on when I took it apart for some reason. And the other one had 3 on. So I'm going to put 2 on one, 1 on the other. These are very battered. I don't really understand how. Burrs all over them. Yeah, that's better. With a spot of luck, these will go into there. Feels like it's hit the bottom. Now somehow I'm going to have to push this shaft seal down so I can get the washer on and the retaining spring thing. Now obviously, normally you'd have a tube that went over the top that you could kind of push it in with. So I'm going to have to see what I can find. I mean, I don't think I'm going to be able to push it in with my fingers. Might need to go borrow a special tool from somewhere. I just had to pull it out again because I noticed I forgot to put these washers and end bits on. I have actually managed to get it to push in just by doing this very gently with my needle nose pliers, because it's actually the bush that is being pushed in. The shaft seal is actually fairly loose fit, to be honest. So I'm just going to keep doing this until I get down to the line where the circlip needs to clip in. Okay, that worked to a certain extent. Now I've got a new plan. I found this reel of wire that perfectly sits on there. I'm going to take this, which is like an oil divider kind of thing, for that actually is a part of the bike. And I'm going to try and use this as a slide hammer to tap that down. I don't think that's working. No, because that diameter is wrong. Right, plan C, because that didn't work. I'm making a tool. I'm going to put a 38mm hole in this piece of wood to use as a slide hammer, which I can then slide and tap onto this without damaging anything. And hopefully that will push it in far enough to get the circlip in place. Nice. Clean the hole out. Ow. Tally-ho. Think it's working. So I'm just going to very gently equally tap this around, trying not to scratch or damage my chrome plating. Okay. Now I'm being very gentle. And this could take a while, but let's do a few taps, have a check, and then I reckon it's going to be good. Okay, so after many taps, that is in, and you can see that the circlip ring is visible, which means I can now put the circlip back in there. There we go, you heard that ping into place. Excellent, right. Now the only thing left to put in is the dust seal, which, yeah, just squishes in there nicely. Cool. Right, one done. I'm going to do the other one, and then we'll have 2 shock absorbers. No, we won't. They're forks. Stop calling them shock absorbers. Oh dear. Next up, the springs need to go in. Just gonna check my video to see which way the springs come out. The more compressed coil section goes in first, because you can see on there. Can you see on there? Oh, you can't see on there. Clearly, they're less compressed at the top of the spring than they are at the bottom of the spring. So that needs to go in there that way. Oh, not forgetting one of these travel control valves. So that goes in first. Bye. And then this goes in like so. So I need to pull that up a little bit. So now I can put the end debris in one of them or one of them. Now annoyingly, I don't know if you can see that. Where's the camera lens? There. That is damaged slightly. It wasn't me. It was like that when I got the bike. So you can see it's got a bit of a flat on it from where it's been hit by something or dropped by someone. I don't know if I can fit a tyre pressure valve thing, like, what's it called, a tyre pump, pressure pump, air pump on there or not, or whether I'm going to have to replace this fitting. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't stop me from putting the forks back together right now. So I need to remember to put that O-ring on there as well. I'm going to do it now before I forget. And this one. Da, 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 da. Right. Da, da, da. Woo! Oh, actually, next job I think is put the bolts in the bottom. Now, these actually only one of them had a copper washer on. They're both supposed to have copper washers on. So I have been to Halfords and purchased this lovely set of copper washers, and I got two nice new ones from the set there. So they can go in next. I'm actually going to I'm just going to put these in like finger tight because I need to obviously fill the forks with oil, but I can't do that until I've done the anti-dive units. Now annoyingly, these new copper washers are, it must be 0.2 of a mil bigger in diameter than the old one. They don't quite fit. So I'm going to, I don't really know what I'm going to do, to be honest. Here we go, this is the plan. So spin that in there and file down the outside diameter. I'm going to have to tighten this nut up to get that to work. So I'm going to do that, and then hopefully that will then fit in the hole. With the nut tightened, hopefully I'll be able to make this small enough. After a little bit of drilling, 15.5, 15.48, something like that. That should now definitely fit. Okay, will it go in there now? Yay! There's a hole! Now, the bolt that goes in the bottom not only requires the copper washer, but it also requires non-permanent thread locker, and it needs to be torqued to 29 Newton meters. So I've got the thread locker, I'm going to do that now. Don't need to go too crazy. Ooh, bang. Okay, so some of you watching that have done this before will have realised that I've had to take out the main spring, yeah, to be able to torque that up to the right tightness, simply because this just spins when you try and tighten it. I don't have, so the biggest, where's it gone? Oh, it's in my hand. The biggest one of these sockets I have is still too small for that. So what I'm going to have to try and do is wrap this with insulation tape to make it bigger to actually fit in there, so I've actually got a fighting chance of being able to tighten it up to the right torque. So let's give it a go. I genuinely amaze myself at how brilliant my brilliantness is. Sometimes, you know, I've got to pat myself on the back because that is brilliant. Right, I'm going to reapply thread lock to that bolt, and then try and put it in. Okay, let's do that. Now this might come as a surprise to you, but that didn't work. The insulation tape was too soft, so I've cut it off. However, I do have a plan B, and that is tape a couple of drill bits to the outside of this to stop it from turning. And I think that might work. I'm going to try it. Let's give it a go. I now have no reason in this world to think that that won't hold that in place whilst I just torque up these bolts. I've cleaned the old thread lock off of there. Put some fresh thread lock on there. 1 second, just putting a fork back together. I'll be with you in 2 minutes.
No worries.
And...
a knife and a spoon.
No, I don't need a knife and a spoon. Thank you.
Now we can put this in there like that. I'll take the socket off so I can feel it like click into place. Yep, that feels good. Pop that in there. Pop that in there. Right. Ready? Oh, slipped. Okay, we're good. Yeah! Muscles from Brussels. Okay. 29 Newton meters. Done and done. Genuinely chuffed that that worked, to be honest. Okay, so now that's done, I can put the spring back in. Boy, oh, don't forget the little castle thing. Spring in. There we go. And now I can, if you watch this, I can press it down. Oh, come on, come on. There we go. And just tighten that, just turn it a few turns so it doesn't come out. I'm going to have to take that off again to fill them with oil, but I can't do that until I've done the anti-dive units which bolt on the bottom there. And there is one more bolt to put in here, and that is the pinch bolt for the bottom. So I'm just going to nip that in there with my fingers, obviously, because, well, I don't want to tighten it up before it's actually being tightened onto the shaft on the bike, do I? After a smashing good time, I got the headstock bearing off. I've chipped that face there a little bit, but I'm going to clean it up with a file. I didn't have the correct tool for the job, and it really shows that that would have been really handy in this instance. And this is kind of what's left of the bearing and the seal. I'm not sure what happened to the other bits. They flew off somewhere. The actual Kawasaki tool looks like this, and you have to buy this two of these extension rods to go with it, and then you kind of attach it like that and undo the top with a spanner. Now, this tool online I've found for £450. This similar looking thing on eBay is $112.99, but for something I only need once at the minute. I mean, as I go on to do more and more bikes, it'll be worth investing in one, but it's a lot of money just to remove one bearing. So I just attacked it with a hammer and chisel and managed to get it off. Granted, I did nick the bearing face a little bit, but you know, that's no problem, is it? I mean, I show you guys my mistakes. There's a little bit of a mistake there from where I got a bit trigger happy with the hammer, but other than that, I got it off. I haven't like gouged the surface area. The new bearing's going to fit on there nicely, so happy days. Given the fact that I had to destroy the old bearing getting it off, I have a brand new bearing, inner and outer race. Not sure where I've put the outer race, to be honest. It was literally there. Found it. So we've got a new outer race, a new inner race for the bottom and the top. Now, I've also given these a lick of paint, which I'm really happy with. They come out really well. They look basically brand new, which is what we're going for, isn't it? So we've got the top bit and the bottom bit. And so first things first, you need to put this, it's like a dust seal on it. So that goes on there. And then the new bearing goes on there. But this needs to be hammered on, well, tapped on, persuaded, should we say. Now, fortunately, I actually have a tool for this. This is the upper half of the handle to my trolley jack, which fits absolutely perfectly round the inner, oh, you can't see. So that fits perfectly around the inner race of this bearing, and I can still very much move the whole outer cage, so I know I'm not hitting the bit with the ball bearings in. So I'm going to tap that on there very nicely, and then we can carry on with the next bit. I'm not sure what that is yet, but I'll have a look. If you can hear any background noise, it's because the girls are in the living room upstairs watching Harry Potter. I don't know about you, but Harry Potter is not my thing. Not a Harry Potter fan.
Excellent. Nice spangly new bearing on there. Well, it would have helped if I'd have heated the bearing up, made it slightly bigger. However, I genuinely forgot. Apologies for that. Now, I know a lot of you comment saying put the bearings in the fridge. Wouldn't have helped on this one because it's an external bearing. Internal bearings, yeah, chuck them in the fridge. External bearings, I should have put the shaft in the fridge. But anyway, it's on and chuffed with that. And I've got the seal on there, and the seal is central. So yeah, excellent.
The next step is to put the forks into the headstock. I've put one fork in, as you can see. I just need to put the other fork in. So I'm just going to pop a screwdriver in there, just to help it. There we go. Dong, 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 dong. Dong, 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 dong. These clamps, which I'm going to clean up a little bit because they look a bit minging. Now if you look at the video that I've got loaded on the screen, this is when I took them apart. Now I measured from that clamp to the end of the fork 223 millimeters from the end to the edge of that clamp, and that will actually help position everything, including this rather important oil thing. I think this is a tube that goes between the two forks, so it levels out the amount of fork oil in each fork. Don't know, something like that. But anyway, right, so I'm going to put those clamps on at the right height, and then that bit can go on. Slight error on that. This bit actually goes on first. Now what I've done with the O-rings, put new O-rings in, but I've put like a lick of fork oil in there to help with a little bit of lubrication to help get it down. Now I need to revert back to the video to figure out which way around this goes, because I don't, well, it obviously doesn't go that way because it's got to go, that pipe's got to go round this shaft. So I think it went that way, but it could have gone that way, and it's not symmetrical. I don't know if it's supposed to be symmetrical. It's probably supposed to be symmetrical, but it's not. So I'm going to have a look and see which way the diagram and my video says to put it. Now I just need to tighten these up. Now these have a torque requirement of 21 Newton meters. I don't think 21 is super tight, is it? No. Awesome, it's really coming along. All that's left to do before I can refit the headstock is I need to change the inner race sleeves for the bearings. Inner race, outer race. Now to do that, I have acquired a cool tool. So you put that up there, open it up, and it clips onto, well, it latches onto the lip of the bearing race thing, and then you whack it with a hammer. Okay, now I need to bash the new outer races in, and we have here my bearing bashing kit. So we'll find the right thing for the right diameter for those and knock them in. So I've got a 51mm diameter outer, 42mm diameter inner, and that fits now on there perfectly. So that will line up nicely for tapping it in. The upper race or the lower race, I'm not sure which one. One of them's smaller than the other one. They are two different sizes. And this is obviously a little bit awkward. Whatever you do, make sure you don't put this in the wrong way around. I can see myself doing that, to be honest. I'm a wally. Perfectly tapped in there, no damage to the bearing race thing. Right, I'm going to do the top one, and then we can put the forks back in the bike. The top bearing, slightly smaller, 46 outer, 37 inner, and that fits on there nicely. I'm going to get moaned at for using this claw hammer again. Oh well. Wise man once said, blind man will be pleased to see that. I've been asked before, I mentioned it in the comments, but I'll mention it again now. I got this kit from eBay. I kid you not, every single one of these pieces is a solid piece of steel. It's a really good quality kit, and it was only £30, including delivery. Couldn't recommend it more, to be honest. Just search for, I don't know, bearing inserting kit or bearing installation kit or something like that. You'll find it. It's on eBay. Almost forgot. I need to grease up the bearings. So just going to apply a nice thick amount of grease and then rub it round. I do this properly, but it's hard to hold the camera with one hand and do this with the other. Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. Probably a less awkward way to do this, but top pairing. Why doesn't that? Oh, it does. It's probably easiest to pop this down now. Oh yeah. Okay. In the manual it says to get the C spanner and then weigh 22.5 kilos on it. I'm just going to do it tight, to be honest. That's all on and nice and tight. This should hopefully line up. Wow, it does. That's a relief, to be honest. Oh, I've forgotten a bit. So that goes on there to stop that nut from coming undone. I think it just helps it. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Yeah. And then Nutty McNutface can go back on there. Cool. Does that have a torque setting? Let's have a look. Yes, it does. T1. 39 Newton meters. That's not super tight, is it? Sometimes with these torque settings, I really want to just tighten them up a little bit more because I'm like, it's not really that tight. But okay, cool. That's done. Wicked. Next up, I'm going to put the back wheel on. It's really starting to look like a bike now. There we go. Look at that. Front suspension attached to bicycle. Motor bicycle. I'm actually going to put the front wheel on first due to balancing of the bike. So I've got the wheel and stupidly I've put the shaft in the bike already. Right. Now I've worked all this out from the service manual and the video I made when I took it apart. Not forgetting the speedo drive. That needs to go in there. And you have to make sure it's in the exact right position. That definitely clicked into place then. So that goes in there like that. And then the other side has a thing. Let's call it a bush. And here comes the tricky bit. Lifting the bike up and lining it up. And the thing fell out the wheel. Oh no, it didn't. Okay, we're good. What's the normal way that normal people do this? I don't think it's like this. Okay, stay. Oh. Alright, I've got one side in. Oh my gosh. This is awkward. Is it supposed to be this awkward? Oh yeah. I think that's in the right place. Where's that? Oh, okay. That's the nut. I don't think the shaft's quite in far enough. Now it is. Well, that was awkward and not easy. Normally you'd have an engine that you'd be holding the bike up with, but I haven't got that far yet. Right, I'm going to tighten this up and then get the back wheel on. Okay, 88 Newton meters coming up. Oh my gosh. 88 Newton meters is a lot. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that is pretty tight. You know what I was saying about sometimes I want to do things tighter? I think that's tight enough. Cool. So back one is pretty much the same, slightly different. Because you've got there's a bracket here for the rear brake assembly that needs to be attached, and then you've got these bits that go in here. These are slightly different. There is a left and a right. Now the difference is, obviously one of them has that end in and the other one has that end in, and each one is suited for each side, so they are different parts. This one goes on the brake side, put that in there like that. There's two bushy things that need to go in here. I've put there's one that goes on the other side of the rear sprocket. I had to order that because it didn't come with that. The previous person forgot to put it back in. So this side has not that one, that one. That goes in there. Don't know if you can see what I'm doing. There's a round thing like that, and there's a thing like that. This one goes on the passenger side. This one goes on the driver's side. Why did I say passenger side? No. This side goes on the side with the disc. This side goes on the side with the cog. So let's put this together. That goes in there. That goes on there. That's in there. Do you know what? If I lift this up a bit, now everyone can see. Oh, and then once I finish, there are two circlip things to. Yeah. Oh, it's coming together. So I'll probably end up editing and cutting this. You probably won't be watching most of this, to be honest, because this is rather taxing. Once the engine's in, the front will be lower and it will lift the rear wheel off the ground. At the minute, the rear wheel's sitting on the ground. I was a bit worried I'd done something really wrong with the suspension, but no, because the engine's missing, the back wheel is actually sitting on the floor, which is quite cool actually. Right, let's tighten that up, and then I'll pull this out into a better area so you can actually see it, because at the minute there's a lot of clutter around. Don't ask me about these games consoles. It was a lockdown thing. There we go. 88 Newton meters. And I almost forgot to put these clips back in, so I'm going to do that now. What do you think, Kate? It's nearly finished, right?
It looks beautiful. It looks new. I'm just curious about how you're going to get this up there.
Well, just
because those stairs
up the stairs
are half the size of normal width stairs, and they go like this. And this bike is too heavy to lift up.
Nah, that'll go upstairs.
I can't physically. I can't. No. Can't even rock it. Maybe this end. I'll do this end.
You can...
yeah, okay, I can do this end. To explain to me what your plan is after you've got this bike out of the cellar.
The plan is, right, so once I've got the Ducati fixed, I'll use the Ducati as my daily in Bedford whilst I'm fixing the FZR. Now, once the FZR is through its MOT and road legal, I will then sell the Ducati and put this in the car and take it to Bedford. And then, do you not think it will fit in the car?
So, as is, I'd be surprised, honey. I mean...
I don't see why it won't fit in the car.
Why don't you lie down next to it so we can measure if it's as long as your car?
I was going to say, okay.
It's also, it's quite heavy.
Toes at one end.
I'm just questioning why...
Oh.
Yeah.
How long is it? I just moved.
It's like an extra my foot on top of your head.
I just have to move. Really, a whole foot. We just have to move the passenger seat forward.
I mean,
it's not a big drama. I can take the wheels back off.
I was going to say, I'm questioning the amount of building that you've done. You got carried away, didn't you?
I just wanted it working, rolling.
Yeah. Do you know what you could do?
No, I can ride it.
Yeah, exactly. So if we just, I'll take the car and we'll strap it to the back of the car, and then you could just sit on it.
I should probably put the handles on first.
Sure. Done. It's like an electric bike at that point, you know, because it doesn't have an engine.
You're just jealous.
I'm so jealous of the lifting that you're going to have to do with this bike, because I'm going to be poorly that day.
Oh, no way. I just get a trailer. I get a motorbike trailer. And there we go, folks. A rolling chassis. We have front wheel, front forks, front suspension, basically, rear wheel, swing arm, chassis, stand, rear shock. Basically, it's ready to go on the road now. No, I'm kidding. I'm sure you'll be aware that as far as this looks like it's come along, I'm still so far from the finish line. But bear with me. Please persist with the videos. I will get this bike finished. I don't know how long it's going to take. It will take as long as it takes. It's a nut and bolt restoration. I've got other content going on, so you know it's not like you're not going to see me. But next up on this bike will be brakes, the anti-dive mechanism for the front forks, and obviously back brakes, front brakes. And then I think I need to look at getting the wiring loom reattached to the frame, because that was one of the last things to come off the bike. So if we get the wiring loom, well, I need to recondition it because it is filthy. But yeah, so keep an eye out for the future videos. I will be back with the GPZ very soon. And if you like this video, obviously don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, and then that way you'll get notifications to say that I've uploaded again, so cool. Anyway, I'm waffling on. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers!